Welcome to the Beneficiaries Corner. This course addresses a trustee's failure to follow the trust terms, especially when they are required to create subtrust after the death of a settlor. Let's start with a basic understanding of the trust law we will apply to this problem. Under Probate Code Section 16,000, every trustee must administer the trust according to the trust instrument. That means the trustee must take all actions required of them by the trust document and by trust law. Let's consider a hypothetical situation to demonstrate the problems that arise and the options you have when confronted with a California trustee who fails to follow the trust terms. After the hypothetical, we will discuss trust terms in more detail. In 2001, Renee and Phil created a joint trust. At the time, their estate was worth $3 million, and they were worried about the surviving spouse having to pay federal estate tax upon the other spouse's death. Under the trust, once the first of Renee and Phil passes away, the trust assets are divided into 2 equal shares. One share is to be funded into a survivor's trust, which remains a revocable trust and is held for the benefit of the surviving spouse. The other share is to be funded into a bypass trust, which is an irrevocable trust. The bypass trust is held to benefit the surviving spouse during their lifetime, and then the remaining assets pass to the children equally. Renee has no children, but Phil has 2 children from a prior marriage, Danielle and Jamie. In 2015, Phil dies, and Renee takes over as the sole successor trustee of their joint trust. Unfortunately, Renee does not seek the advice of an attorney, and she is not aware that the survivor's trust and the bypass trust have to be created after Phil's death. Instead, Renee keeps administering the trust assets for her own benefit as if nothing has changed. Over the next year, Danielle and Jamie begin to wonder what has become of their father's share of the estate. So they make multiple inquiries to Renee about it. Renee takes offense to these inquiries and tells both kids to mind their own business. Renee refuses to provide copies of the trust to the children and stops returning their calls. In February 2016, Renee decides to leave the entire estate to her 2 sisters, Betty and Linda, instead of the children. Renee meets a lawyer who drafts a simple trust amendment changing the beneficiaries of the trust from the children to Betty and Linda. In August 2016, Renee dies and Betty takes over as successor trustee of the trust. Betty reads the trust amendment and believes that she and her sister Linda are the sole beneficiaries. When Danielle and Jamie ask for a copy of the trust document, Betty provides them with a copy of the trust and the trust amendment. Danielle and Jamie consult a lawyer. The lawyer notices that Renee was supposed to create a bypass trust after Phil's death, but she failed to do so. Since the bypass trust was supposed to be irrevocable, Renee had no power to amend that part of the trust. It now appears that Renee has ignored her duties as trustee and failed to create and fund the bypass trust. What can Danielle and Jamie do to obtain their fair share of the trust estate? Here are the options. Option number 1, contest amendment. File a trust contest petition challenging the validity of the trust amendment. Option number 2, petition for instructions. File a petition for instructions to enforce the terms of the bypass trust. Option number 3, financial elder abuse. File for financial elder abuse against Betty, Renee's sister. Option number 4, creditors claim. File a creditors claim with Renee's estate for 1/2 of the value of the trust. Option number 5, letter writing. Hire a lawyer to write a letter to Betty asking that she distribute 1/2 of the trust estate to Danielle and Jamie.